Cancer, hi, Amanda here. Welcome to Unseen Hands Tarot. So your reading has been playing out for me over the course of 2 weeks. I've been sitting with this energy for the 2 weeks leading up to the Taurus lunar eclipse that we just had on November 18th, 19th. And this reading started, I think, on around November 12th, and it has just hung on. And I think I needed to pass through the eclipse energy, and maybe so did you, in order to end up where we've ended up. So those of you who are resonating with Cancer energy right now, Cancer sun, moon, rising, wherever it is in your chart, I hope this reading resonates with you. You're going to see a past version of me talking us through the beginning part of this reading, and then the today version of me interjecting at some point with the realization I had for you through the eclipse. So stick with me for this ride. We're going to the moon. And we're just going to dive right in and see what is the shapeshift for Cancer at this time, whenever you are finding this reading. We're looking at the shape you're shifting out of, the shape you're shifting into, and what that shape shift looks and feels like through Cancer energy. Okay. We're using the Slow Holler Tarot to look at the shape shift for Cancer at this time. Okay, pretty deep stuff. Well, Cancer, stability is on the table here, and it seems like there is a lot of really deep stuff to get through in order to find or feel into that sense of security and stability that you are desiring. Let me show you what came out. The shape you're shifting out of is the Devil. The shape you're shifting into, which is why I'm talking about security and stability, is the Ten of Pentacles. We've got this beautiful homey scene where a dinner was just cooked and people are hanging out in the back room, just enjoying each other's company. The house seems full of love and life, stability. There's a nice, beautiful, secure stone archway, stone that can stand the test of time. You know, we're talking about putting in the kind of roots and foundations that can sustain you long term. So Cancer, you really might be thinking long term here. But check it out. The shape you're shifting out of is the Devil energy, and what this shape shift into the Ten of Pentacles, the security of the Ten of Pentacles, looks and feels like is through the Oracle and the Moon. So there's some sort of liberation that needs to happen here with the Devil, and maybe a little bit of a painful liberation here. Here we're seeing some sort of rays or beams of light coming out of the head of this creature that is being purged. You know, the Devil energy can be a purging process so that something can be fully brought up into the light, something maybe that scares you a little bit, you know, because the Devil is like spooky, scary. Something brought up into the light so that you can fully see it, maybe even just set it on fire, purge it all the way out of you is what it feels like. And what that shapeshift looks and feels like, being the Oracle and the Moon, these are energies of something being hidden and something being not necessarily easy to access consciously. These are energies of the mysteries and having to sort of feel your way through something in a way where you don't necessarily know what's true and you don't necessarily know what end is up. Okay, let's see if we can get a little more about that. What is being liberated for Cancer through the Devil energy? Something that you are trying to balance, maybe even very delicately balance. This card is showing this sort of seesaw motion where something as light of a butterfly just landing on it could tip it one way or the other. And here in this card, this person is able to keep that balance and keep everything in the air. But maybe that's what you're wanting to be liberated from. Feeling like you have to keep everything in the air in order to have the kind of security or home, maybe even like material, financial backing that you really need to feel safe. Maybe we can understand the Oracle and the Moon. Yeah, gosh, all of these circles in the center here. We got the Wheel of Fortune or Fortuna in this deck. Check it out, all the circles. Pretty wild, huh? I think that with these circles, there's some sort of turning point. Something needs to change or turn in a different direction or in a very different way. And I'm not sure that you can really see what that is at this point. It feels like it's a bit mysterious to you or somehow hidden from view. But with Fortuna right underneath of here, it's like there's some sort of change that wants to happen to move you closer to the 10 of Stones. Can we get more of an idea of what this... Okay, too much. More of an idea of what Fortuna is bringing at this time. Yeah, Architect of Stones. Nice. Building something real and something tangible. In traditional decks, this is the King of Pentacles. I mean, this is the kind of personality that steps up as the leader and takes the action that needs, the actions that need to be taken in order to set up this kind of security for yourself. The Architect of Stones is someone who is thinking and planning, architect, designing something for the long term, something tangible, because we're dealing in stones here, something that you can really feel and see and touch. But it's almost like that's what needs to shift for you. It feels to me like you need something tangible to hold on to. Maybe even like a clear sense of purpose or direction for what you are building towards. Because here in the Devil, there's something to be liberated from when it comes to the Two of Pentacles. And sometimes the Two of Pentacles can talk about needing to make a choice or not knowing which way to choose. And it's sort of like something needs to tip in a particular direction that is currently unseen to you because of these cards here. But then once it does, again, here's another circle. It's almost like you land on the moon and start gathering the stones to build what it is that you're trying to build for yourself. Maybe you feel like if you were able to make some sort of a choice, or if some sort of a decision was made for you, then that liberation would come through. But it feels like that's somehow out of your control, or you don't necessarily have clear access to that. Because Fortuna is a much larger, it's talking about larger forces here. We're looking at the phases of the moon. You have the literal moon card, and then you have the oracle with a giant moon in the background. So, I mean, that's Cancer energy right there. Okay. I think it's pretty clear that you are indeed waiting on some sort of decision, and maybe you are waiting on someone else's decision, or you are waiting on your own decision, and that's not something that you don't have access to all the information to make a choice right now, which is why you're in the moon, the priestess, or the oracle, and waiting on the Wheel of Fortune, waiting for something to change. And then here we have, do you believe in chance or luck? Do you believe that something can change your circumstances, or that your circumstances can shift one way or the other? The thing about the Wheel of Fortune is, I always feel like it's equal. It's got everything that could possibly happen somewhere on that wheel, and the likelihood of it landing anywhere in any sort of result is equally this or that. And so spinning the wheel like this, you never know how it's necessarily going to end up, which is why I feel like this is important. Failure is always an option, and be grateful for all the things that didn't happen, right? Like wherever it does land, or wherever it has landed for you, it's like, sure, it could as easily land on something that brings this your way as it could land on something that feels like it didn't work out for you. But if that happens, then it's like, well, be grateful for all the things that didn't happen, because maybe you're actually okay on the other side of that. And that's part of playing the game of chance, or playing the game of luck, is spinning that Wheel of Fortune and wherever it lands. But what's interesting about what shape you're shifting into, it's really shifting you into being able to grab onto something tangible that you can use to actually build this Ten of Pentacles, this sense of home and stability and security and safety that you're looking for, for the long term. But it does require this. It does require that you take some sort of chance, some sort of leap. It's like you're deciding to go to the moon in this reading. And once that decision is made, okay, to the moon, Alice, to the moon. And then maybe it's actually there where you will find what you need to begin to build. Interesting reading, Cancer. Mysterious. I like it. So Cancer, this is me post-eclipse, post-lunar eclipse, and one thing that the moon, the full moon, the lunar eclipse made very obvious to me about your reading, which I couldn't really see before. Remember how I kept sort of hinting and saying things like, you're going to the moon, you're trying to make a home here with the Ten of Pentacles, or like find your sense of home and security. And the reading was trying to show us that where your sense of home and security actually is on the moon, which might be a bit of an uncomfortable realization, Cancer, because the moon energy can be much more intangible and mysterious and surreal than the typical idea of the Ten of Pentacles, which would be like solid walls around us. The Ten of Pentacles to me is like feeling the embrace of someone that you trust to protect and care for you. And that is much different than embracing the moon, which is much more far off. You know, it's not something we can feel and tangibly touch necessarily like we can our cast iron skillet in the kitchen, or the loaf of bread that we just made and can like physically make with our hands and put into our mouths and into our tangible human body. So there's this perhaps profound revelation here that the home, the place that will provide you this sense of home, is actually the moon. And that makes a ton of sense because Cancer and the moon in astrology are associated with one another. You literally are the moon, and if the moon is your home, then you are already home. Like, you are your home. And I think that is part of the realization of the architect of stones here, is that like, oh wait, I'm searching for this place that I am already on. Like the moon, Cancer, this is where you already live. Maybe especially Cancer moon folks. Like, this is where you already are. And so then I realized I needed to go into the moon energy, and I was directed very specifically to go to the Wild Unknown Tarot and pull out every card that looked like the moon to me. Because, you know, if you recall in this reading so far, it's been all about moons and circles. Circles, 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 circles. You know, everything in this freaking reading is moons, moons, moons. So I went into the Wild Unknown Tarot, and we're going to the moon. Let's go to the moon together through the Wild Unknown. And here's what I got. I'm going to show it to you here. High Priestess over top the Ten of Pentacles. Again, interesting. The World. The Ten of Cups. The Wheel of Fortune. The Two of Swords. The Ace of Pentacles. So we have unintentionally, the cards that stuck out to me that looked like the moon are similar cards in this other deck. The Priestess, which is the Oracle in the Slow Holler, the Ten of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune. Now, check this out. If you look at the Ten of Pentacles, what felt like the moon to me about this card was actually the background. And I realized that if the Ten of Pentacles for you, this sense of home and security, is actually on the moon, it makes perfect sense that in this card, those 10 pentacles are situated in this like moon circular layered vortex-y type environment. The moon is actually the environmental space where you can find your Ten of Pentacles. And to me, it's the same colors, the purple and the blue, that are present in the High Priestess's crystal ball there, or the moon that tiger has between its arms. So it's almost like, to interrupt for a moment, this is how I'm seeing it. If we want to go to the moon and figure out what this is for you, then it's like, okay, here's the moon right here between the priestess's arms. So we zoom in to the moon, we let it pull us in, and we get this. Okay, so here we are on the moon, and we find, okay, the Ten of Pentacles, there it is. This is what you've been looking for, Cancer, and it's on the moon. You have to go to the moon to find it. That's where it is. And then once I was here, I realized that there was this looks like 9 pentacles, but the 10th pentacle is actually inside of this center pentacle. So there's something here about the core of you. And that 10th pentacle you are seeking, this larger sense of support and security, is inside. It's already inside of you, which then goes back to the moon. Okay, right, because in astrology, the moon governs our internal experiences. And even in some interpretations, like our bodily, the moon is the body, and it is our internal sense of self, or even like emotional experience. So all of this, something is starting to sort of gel here when I'm realizing for you that you're looking for your home or your security or your setup, whatever that is. And it is on the moon. And then when you realize you are the moon, then it is already inside of you. And then this brings me back to like the tangible ways that we understand Ten of Pentacles energy, especially in this scene, which is like creating a beautiful home space for yourself and others, caring for yourself, supporting yourself and others, like creating a space for safety and support, a safe space. So then I was like, oh, wait. And once I went inside of this moon space for you, I felt like it needed to open up. Like I felt like there was something. It's like, okay, maybe you are creating this external space, or you're looking for this external space, but really what you need to do is open up and clear out the space inside of you. It's almost like I'm seeing this sort of like moon space at the center of your chest or your heart, like pop open or open up like this. And that's how you, again, realize that the moon is inside of you. And I'm seeing that in these cards as this transition from the Wheel of Fortune to the Ten of Pentacles. So the Wheel of Fortune is looking a little raggedy, like a little disorganized. All of these threads are sort of hanging loosely, and there's a sense of like things being lax in this card, which is interesting. Not necessarily a bad thing. Like there's no value judgment on this for me. It's just what's happening. Like it's like there's a sense of this being lax, and then there's a sense of tightening or tautening. Tautening, is that a word? Pulling the threads more clearly. Oh, I get it. All right, go with me. Imagine that you've got some sort of orb where, like this orb, for example, and the threads, the connecting threads are all present, but when it is at its smallest or most contracted state, all of the threads are going to hang slack. That's the word I'm getting at. Slack. When you pop that open, notice how the orb is smaller here, and then it grows much larger here with the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is your capacity for joy and happiness and enjoyment, and embracing all of those things that make you happy. And so it's almost like when you realize that your home and security and safety is the moon, and that the moon is inside of you, there's this like pop moment where this thing inside of you pops open, and all of the strings that were sort of threads that were hanging slack suddenly find their place. Oh, finding their place. Finding their natural order and their natural organization. It's like they were already tethered in an organized pattern, but they don't feel clear or organized when that space is too small. And so there's something about opening your internal moon space and suddenly everything, I'm getting so many images right now. I'm getting also the image of like a womb space and like your pelvic floor. Okay, go with me. I have a movement and massage background, so of course I'm gonna go here, but it's like, it's almost like, you know, if you've ever experienced like pelvic floor issues, which is a really common thing for folks, as you age, or really it can happen at any age, but sometimes this experience of a slackening in the pelvic floor can make things feel too loose down there, and it can be really uncomfortable. And oh, that's so fascinating, because that is your root. If you're looking for a sense of safety and support, and we are literally talking about your root space in your body feeling slack or feeling like it doesn't have the support that it needs. I mean, Wheel of Fortune is a time of change and a time of intense. Here we are in this time of intense change. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if all of our pelvic floors are a little bit like, oh my God, you know, like, where's my support? Where's the support that I need to feel like I am free to move? And then all of a sudden there's this internal expansion of that space, and those muscles or whatever this is, those threads can rest in their proper place. They are, and there's some sort of thing here for you, Cancer, that like they are already properly tethered. They just need this expansion, this sense of internal space. Make space to embrace and hold your own internal, like all of the things that make you happy and bring you joy. It's like, just embrace that about yourself, that you are the moon. And it's like you're creating that. When you create the 10 of Cups inside of yourself, something tangible, to go back to the spread, something tangible appears that is laying the first stone in the external supportive foundation that you're actually seeking. You make space inside of yourself for the 10 of Cups, and you will be able to tangibly feel the 10 of Pentacles, or at least the start of what could be the 10 of Pentacles. And this is also about making space for your authenticity, because we're talking about finding home on the moon and realizing you are the moon, aka finding home in yourself. And this is all about embracing who you are, and the fact of who you are is that you are the moon. You know, so like embrace that. You are an emotional being. You are a transient, flowing, water space, surreal, mysterious being. And changeable being. The phases of the moon changing all of the time, and needing that kind of space to allow for that movement and flux and phases to cycle through. Once you realize that about yourself and you actually give yourself that space, it somehow finds its own organization. That's what I'm getting, where it's like, this feels like, why is all my energy or all my stuff so disorganized, when I want something like clear and supportive and something I can really tangibly build on and hold on to. But here I am constantly in this space of surreal, intuitive mystery, which has its beautiful magic, but like, dang, can I get something tangible? And it's like, there is the tangible that you are seeking. You already have, but you've got to expand your capacity to accept yourself and hold that kind of home space for who you really are and feeling at home in yourself. And then somehow that brings us, and I love that we've got these like dueling 10s here. Notice how the 10s are lining up against each other. 10, 10. And then to go back to the spread, check it out. Right above that is the world. It's like this moment of then suddenly zooming out and seeing, understanding the larger picture of things and like the larger cycle and recognizing where you are. You're at this incredible moment of like graduation almost, and like completion of a really important phase in your life. And through this eclipse, check out the Two of Swords. I mean, there is an eclipse happening in that card. So through this Taurus lunar eclipse at this time, I mean, listen, whenever you're finding this reading, great, but we are talking, I'm reading in a time of eclipse energy, and eclipse energy is like things changing in the blink of an eye. It's a wild energy. It's an intense moment of opposites and extremes, and things leaving your life and changing drastically sometimes, or just like intense emotional, spiritual energy. Anyway, here we are at this eclipse, and it's almost like, okay, do you remember the previous spread we were working with where it says you are one decision away and then jump? It's almost like the jump is actually through the eclipse. You know, like, doesn't it look like you're jumping through this eclipse? This eclipse opening, or people say eclipse portal. It's like you're jumping through that, through this realization that you're having about opening up that space inside of yourself and landing on the Ace of Pentacles on the other side. And this brings us back to the Architect of Stones, where you realize you are on the moon and this is where you want to build your home, and you reach up for that first stone, which is the Ace of Pentacles. And through this eclipse portal, somehow the Ace of Pentacles is becoming clear to you. I even love how the colors are the same. We move from working with blues and purples to oranges and yellows through the eclipse. So there is something tangible that shows up for you through this intangible realization. And I think it happens through eclipse energy, where I had this experience this morning from the eclipse. I was kind of a mess last night, honestly. As we were building up to the eclipse, I was in the moon space. I was in this space of what is real? I have no idea what's happening. I can't see anything clearly. One moment it's this and one moment it's that. And I have no idea what is real, and I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling lost in this darkness, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know where I am, and it's so painful. And then all of a sudden I woke up this morning, and again, like a blink of an eye, had this realization that simplified my mysterious mess into something just very clear and tangible, and honestly something so simple that I can take action on it right now today, and I'm going to. You know what I mean? It's that energy. It's that sort of realization that you're having. And it's like you pass through the eye of the needle here with the eclipse, and somehow going to the moon has showed you the home you can build, where you want to build it, and how. And here's the how. Somehow is the Ace of Pentacles. And I love that it's this tree trunk, because of course this realization you're having about your home is on the moon is the core of something that has the potential to build out into longevity. Many, many cycles and years and lifetimes on this. It's there it is. And I felt like also I needed, once I saw the Ace of Pentacles here in the cards that came out when we went to the moon, I felt like getting the Ace of Pentacles out of the Slow Holler to show you what it looks like in that deck. And I love that it looks like a sponge to me in this like absorption energy. And I like too that it could also, if you look really closely, it does almost look like a stone that you would get on the moon. I mean, I don't know what the moon is actually made of once you're there, but you know, the way we look at the moon from our vantage, it does sort of look like that kind of rocky, porous stone. So let's just call this moonstone for the sake of our reading here today. And half of it, if you notice, is like dissolving and, okay, we're in some Neptunian territory here. It's like dissolving and absorbing in the water in this really beautiful way. And again, that's the intangible, with the other half that is out and much more solid and in the tangible. So there's something important about your particular expression and what you are integrating here about yourself, I think, is the intangible with the tangible. It's like you're embracing that if you are the moon, then you are maybe much less of a tangible person than you want to be. But there are ways in which you are tangible. And so it's almost like embracing the intangible allows you to actually access something tangible. Making space in your life, inside of yourself, for that intangible flow is the start of something tangible for you. And that may mean changing how you have been doing things, because we have the Wheel of Fortune literally 3 times now in this reading. That may mean changing how you have been doing things. And for you, that may, changing things could feel like failure, or like, I'm looking at the phases of the moon here and how it could be like changing your mind, you know, like changing your mind based on how you feel, and your feelings changing all the time. And it could feel like failure to say you're doing one thing and then your feelings change and you realize something else. And this card here, failure is always an option. It's like maybe whatever this moon realization is for you, changes how you want to do things, and maybe you're perceiving that as failure, but it's sort of like, no, let's change this to changing your mind is always an option. Changing how you feel, you know, or like allowing your feelings to change is always an option. Okay. Cancer, what a reading. Thanks for taking me to the moon with you and for going there with me. Don't leave. You are the moon. You are at home on the moon. Just be on the moon and see what can be built there. Okay. Cancer, thanks for being here with me and for going on the journey of this reading with me. I hope you have woken up on the other side of the eclipse with the realizations that you need. And if you would like to dive deeper into this energy and how it's more specifically playing out in your life, I would love to connect with you and do a reading together. All the info for that is on my website, unseenhandstarot.com. You can see it at the end of this video, and send me a message, go over there, check out my offerings, and we'll dig into the cards for you together. All right, Cancer. Welcome home.